Hi. Hey. Hello. Welcome back, and thank you for clicking on While You Were Drinking, a podcast about the two of us and what we're drinking. If you like what you hear, do me a favor. Smash that like button. You know you want to. Do it. And also subscribe while you're at it. Rate and review on whatever podcast platform you happen to be listening to this on. Also follow us on Instagram, Shae_LI, Shae, and me at Curtis.Inman. Shoot us an email as well while you're at it. Tell us what's going on in your life. We want to hear from you. We love you. Let's start the show.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of While You Were Drinking.
Hi.
That's us, while we're drinking.
Hi. I missed you. Hi. I've broken her right off the bat.
I know, you've broken me.
I feel like you should just commit to laughing into the microphone. Just let it clip.
Happen.
Just laugh straight into it.
Well, here we are. We date, we dish, and we drink.
Key factors.
Key factors. These are really the main proponents of the show, and we're glad that you're here. Let's get it started, man. Let's get ourselves a drink. What are you drinking today?
Today, I think I'm gonna go with a combination of
combo.
A combination of barrel finished. It's not really finished in the sense of like a lot of whiskeys trending recently have been finished in various other types of barrels. These are just refinished in other. Hold on. I should try to pop the cork into the mic.
There we go.
That was kind of sad. So I'm starting with Old Forester, 1910.
So for those of us who don't understand the difference between finished and refinished, aka me.
So not refinished. I don't know. It's hard to explain. So like the initial whiskey is finished in new oak American barrels. And then what a lot of producers have been experimenting with is taking like a port wine or a cognac barrel or like a used Cabernet barrel or a sherry barrel, and then taking that finished bourbon, like, you know, it would be just Woodford Reserve as they would ship it, and then putting it into a second barrel and letting it spend, you know, a year in that new barrel.
Got it. And that kind of like acquires some of those flavors.
Right.
From
so for these, it's charred barrels, I believe, for the double oaked and the Old Forester. So it like really imparts these like maple syrup and like toasted marshmallow flavors.
Ooh, toasty.
So yummy.
Toasty.
It's so good. They are a little on the sweet side. So if you don't like exceptionally sweet bourbons, you know, these might not be for you, but I like them.
Yeah.
Very drinkable, very yummy.
I love a good drinkable wine.
Like pancakes in a glass. What are you drinking?
So this is something that I saw at the wine store, and I'd never even heard of this variety. I had to Google how to pronounce it. Let me see if I can do it. A Picpoul du Pinet. It is a French wine. It's supposed to be super, super, super tart, which I love, but I'm curious to see if that's going to be drinkable without food. It is kind of like one of those wines they recommend pairing with food for sure. But I like sour things. I like tart things. I was one of those kids who always enjoyed like seeing how many warheads she could fit in her mouth as a kid. So sour is not a deterrent. So if it's tart, I might actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, you do really like sour beers too. That's
true.
Something I've never quite been able to jump on that hype train with.
Yeah, that's like one of the few beers I actually really enjoy kind of on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything that gets kind of too hoppy, if it leans too far in the hoppy or if it's not hoppy enough, it has to be the right balance. But sour beer, it's almost,
Yeah.
I mean, the more sour, the better.
I just hate anything that feels like it's ripping the varnish off of my teeth.
Oh, that's the best part. This smells very fresh. I feel like most white wines kind of smell this way. Maybe this, I just haven't been able to distinguish exactly, but they all have that very crispy, kind of fresh smell. This one, to me, I'm getting a lot of lemon, maybe like a little grass. Not like
lemongrass or
no,
lemon
sorry,
and
lemon,
grass?
grass.
Lemon,
Although
grass.
I would enjoy a wine that smelled like lemongrass.
Yeah.
But grass that's still growing, like fresh cut grass has that more like punchier note to it, whereas this smells like grass is still just fresh growing in the ground, like baby grass, like new shoots,
New baby grass.
baby grass.
It's like a microgreen.
Microgreen grass. Ooh, that's tart.
Ooh.
I got that pucker in like the back, like in my jowls, like right here.
Yeah.
I like that. That's drinkable.
All right. Mine's also very drinkable. Shall we cheers?
Yeah.
To you and to you.
Especially to you guys.
All right. What do we want to talk about today?
I was gonna point out the fact that I'm in this brand new little crop sweater that I got.
Oh, yeah.
This was the Zara one.
Smashly. That's what it's called.
Smashly?
Yeah, remember I was trying to tell you I couldn't think of the name for like a drunk white girl?
Oh.
A Smashly.
A Smashly. I said white girl wasted.
Yeah, that's close too.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
We'll get back to Smashly.
Back to Smashly. Right after this break.
No, I like this color because it's kind of a...
Sorry. And we're back.
And we're back. I like this color. It's kind of a gray cream, which is not a color I'm used to wearing. I like shied away from gray and a lot of neutrals before I met you. You wear a lot of neutrals.
I do.
Tans.
Very, like earth tony.
Earth tones. Yeah. Even your colors still have that same kind of muted feel to them. Whereas
you're not so much. You're much more like bold.
I love
like you like
orange
neons.
and red. Yeah. Neon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still like those colors, but I'm definitely having a neutral moment. Like I've
just
been,
in life or
I
in
think
fashion specifically.
In fashion specifically.
You know, like art mimics life or whatever that saying is.
I think that's right. But yeah, just if fashion specifically, I'm having a neutral moment because I'm just finding myself gravitating towards camel colors, tans. I think that's kind of the trend in fashion as well, although I am seeing lots of neons. Like neons mix well with neutrals, but I don't know, you helped me purge my closet the other day.
I did. It was
a test of our relationship.
Fun for me. And I think a little bit heartbreaking for you.
Yeah. Well, you put your foot down
a couple
times.
Yeah.
But there were usually, like looking back, there were things that I was like, yeah, it's time.
It needed to go.
I only pulled a couple things back out from the bags. And
that was the best part. Like we had like a whole night. Like we probably spent a good hour, maybe more,
probably an hour and a half
in her closet bedroom. And if that tells you anything about how much clothing
10
she
years
owns.
of fashion retail. 10 years.
Yes, an entire bedroom of this house is dedicated to her closet.
You love me.
And so we spent,
so
we probably spent a few hours kind of just trimming down, just kind of purging,
At my bequest.
Yeah. And so like quite a few items that we kind of struggled to peel out of her cold, dead hands that made it into the donation bag mysteriously appeared like back in her drawers, and or she was actually wearing one of them when I came home the other day. I was like, that looks familiar.
But you will be pleased to know that the velour pants that you tried to get me to get rid of, that I pulled back out, I wore them the other day, and you're in luck. The seam on the one leg kept twisting, and I was like, you know what? These are annoying.
Yep.
So
and now you remember why you haven't worn them in 3 years.
They got back into the donate bag. So they're gone officially.
All right.
Yeah, we're done.
Great success.
And I got to get rid of a couple other things too that I was kind of on the fence about, but
yeah. It was hard for me because like a lot of the clothes that we were going through was like, you know, hand-me-down things from like family and like your grandmother specifically who, you know, has passed on. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Both of them actually. And they both left me excellent wardrobes. So toast to both of y'all.
And they had fantastic style.
Yeah.
Like timeless adult woman, just like, you know, well-tailored, high-quality fabrics.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, so shout out to them.
Mm-hmm. They both had excellent taste, but some of the clothing's a little too mature for me still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, both of them were, my one grandmother passed when she was in her late 80s, and the other one made it to maybe 60s. She went a little early.
Young.
I know, it's really young. I was 7 when she went.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I'm 30 now, so
yeah. So you're halfway there.
I'm halfway there. But some of the clothing's a little too mature for me, so I've like vacuum sealed that, put that aside. But it's hard to get rid of it when those are the things I inherited from them.
Yeah.
Like I didn't take a lot of furniture, or
right.
I don't know, what else do people inherit from their grandparents? Jewelry.
Tchotchkes.
So yeah, the clothing was kind of what I ended up with because that's my thing, and that's why I have a hard time letting it go. But
even more so than like normal.
Yeah.
I feel like you also like specifically wore things that you haven't worn in forever, like just because we had the argument about it. Like this hideous pink leather jacket thing, monstrosity that's in your closet.
I love that one.
And I was like, I've never even seen this before. You're like, I wear it all the time. Like, not since the last two years since I've known you. You haven't.
All right. Well, I'd like to point out the fact that because of the pandy, there's a large majority of my wardrobe that I have not worn because
that is fair.
I'm not going anywhere. And that's another thing I'm like,
I was amenable to that.
Yes, you were. You were quite amenable to that. And I've been making a point to wear these things now.
Yes. All right. Well, I hope you keep wearing them.
Yeah.
But just know I have my eye out.
I know you have your eye on it. We'll do another purge maybe in like a year or two. Mm-hmm. Once I can start going out to places again and being like, I'm actually wearing this or I'm not wearing this at all.
Yeah. Well, I hope our relationship never reaches a point where you need to like subvert things that I own.
Subvert things that you own?
You know how like, I think your mom actually recommended this to you once, like about something that I own that you were like, I don't know why he owns this, or like it's gross. And then she said like, you should just throw it away.
I would never, because I would be so pissed if you did that to me.
Right.
That's just like, I don't know.
But that's like a thing that happens, right?
I know it's a thing
in people's relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, they're like, they'll just like hide something from their significant other and then just like throw it away when they're not looking.
Yeah. That to me is weird. I feel like if you're, and I don't know, I've never been married, and this is the longest relationship and the most serious relationship that I've ever been in, but I feel like there's something, to me, it just feels weird if you don't trust the person that you're with, like implicitly. Like that's supposed to be your person. That's supposed to be the person that you are the most vulnerable and open with. So if you're not, like, you know, what's happening here? Like,
what's really going on?
Yeah.
But also nobody's perfect.
It's true. No one's perfect.
But also you constantly berate me on when I'm going to be home. So somebody doesn't trust me.
Berate is a strong word.
Well,
I've
your
asked
texts are strong.
Maybe a handful of times. Sometimes.
All I'm saying is I'm noticing a pattern.
Basically trying to control my life and
tell me exactly when you're going to be home.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think the first time I ever asked was because I was either like trying to surprise you with something or I was trying to figure out when to start dinner, because I've noticed like as we live together, you'll come home. Like it's not like we don't always have a very like on the dot set routine.
Yeah, I'm not like super regimented in
like
that way.
you go in when you go in and you come home when you go home. Yeah. And I don't know. That's not, I grew up having like, this is the schedule, but I was never like that. But because I grew up that way and that was kind of like what was ingrained in me, I'm still very much like, we have to have a plan. There has to be a schedule. What time are we leaving tomorrow?
You're 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
What happened? Are you dead?
It really doesn't matter that much. And that's more my, like, I like living that way, but in practice, it has not been like how I've been living. So does that make sense? Yeah.
Like you like living the way where you don't have the like ultra regimented schedule.
Yeah. Like I think my true personality, like when I was younger, for me, it was kind of like, what does it matter? Like what time we leave or what time I wake up or, you know, and get it like with school and things, there's a schedule to adhere to, but
what does it matter? I'm 5 minutes late to your wedding. No big deal.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I'm in it.
I'll see the end.
No, that's why I always took afternoon classes in college. I avoided morning classes at all costs because I would wake up kind of at different times. And if my class didn't start till noon, I was definitely up by then. Like 10 a.m. would be the longest, like the latest I would ever sleep in, even at like the height of my stoner college career.
Right.
Like just like it wasn't who I was. So I like that about you because I think you help kind of mellow out some of this. Like I inherited my mother's like OCD and like a little bit of her neuroses.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, it's who I am, but I like that you kind of just go with the flow. But sometimes I like to plan things.
Yeah.
Like dinner.
Everybody needs a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more of like a, I would say I'm more of like a big picture planner, right? I'm like I have the goals in mind. I have the end game. The end game is kind of always my motivation. And the like minutia of how that all happens, I don't really stress out about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like where a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, well, then we have to go here and do this. And this is exactly how we get from point A to point B. I'm like, who cares? We'll get there. We all know where we're headed. We're all on the same team. Except for those damn Democrats.
Hey, we're all pretty right down in the middle here. Speaking of Democrats, we have a new president.
We do. It's official.
Official. Thought
allegedly
it would never happen. Yeah, allegedly we have a new president. Teasing.
Hashtag stop the steal.
I voted for him. It was the better choice, only marginally. If you were running for president, though, what would your platform be? Tell us. Tell us, Curtis. Mr. Inman.
Yes.
If in 2024.
Hold on. What was that? Yeah. Oh, we're good. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
If you're gonna cough, leave the room.
If you're gonna cough, leave the room.
It's the best. We say that to each other around the house all the time. Every time one of us coughs, it's either Rona or if you're gonna cough, leave the room. Although legit, when people start coughing now, I'm like, don't even look at me. Yeah.
You get like the what was it, the gopher, or it was like the gopher meme where it was like,
yeah, dun dun dun. But yes, okay, sorry.
You were
Mr.
asking?
Inman.
Yes.
What are
the
your
Asian
thoughts?
in the front. Please go ahead.
What are your thoughts on universal health care?
Well, I think it's kind of a shame that the entire developed world has figured out a way to provide basic healthcare for their citizens. And I think despite the rhetoric you might hear, it's I'm sorry, I went good.
I know. I can't keep that. I'm like not designed to, I don't have enough practice.
If I was running for president, I think I would go just like old school, like middle school election.
Yeah.
Like the water fountains will have cream soda and the
pizza
we're gonna have
every
pizza
day.
every day. We're gonna have 2 PEs a day. School. We're gonna move back school start time to 10 o'clock. I don't know. Presidential platform. Probably like less Asian people.
Whoa.
Just as a general rule.
Whoa.
I love you.
I know you do. No, seriously, I'm like genuinely curious.
Oh, God.
All of these like funny little bits aside.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a redirection of our government as a whole. I don't want to get political.
Okay. Or pick something general.
Fine.
We're really getting into it here.
I don't know. I think a lot of like the discontent that we've seen in like recent years is kind of like the manifestation of people's complete lack of trust in institutions. And I think the best way to reinstate that trust is to actually invest in government agencies and programs that actually work and work for the people they're designed to work for. I think that's kind of like the main key to like reinvesting kind of the American people back into the project that is kind of the experiment, the American experiment, as a lot of people call it.
Yeah.
And also kind of like steering our media landscape back to something that's not profit motivated via division.
I agree with you on that for sure. I mean, obviously we date each other, so I think, well, I guess it's not an obvious thing. I think there's plenty of households where people disagree on politics and they're married and they're together, they're in a relationship. Like, but I think you and I, that for me is, it's important for us, for me, that we hold similar values, you know, politically,
Right.
Just from like a platform value standpoint, like,
Yeah.
I think we see pretty eye to eye on that. I mean, clearly something's going on that is, there's such this big divide, and even if I think the minority voices are the loudest voices and the majority it's always the case, but it's still, we still have to make polarizing decisions. Like what we were just saying, like I voted for Biden, but it was only because I didn't like the other option I had at all,
Right.
just a smidge less. Like
Right.
I liked him a little bit more. But if I tell somebody who is a staunch Trump reporter or supporter that reporter or supporter that I voted for Biden, it's so that they look at me and they go, that's so polarizing. I'm like, well, wait. Like our views might be a lot closer than
They're more
the
alike than they
candidate
are
that I
apart.
voted for.
Yeah. Generally speaking.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, like I'm all for universal healthcare, but I want the option for private as like a supplement.
Right.
Like I think that people should have a choice. And I'm not saying I have all the answers on how this is going to work, but in this hypothetical, if you were a
world where
you were running for president, what would you? I don't know. For me, I'm kind of like, let's like go back to a little more like ration and reason. And I agree with you with journalism. I remember, in college, because I majored in public relations, and we had a whole section on talking about yellow journalism, which is not meaning that Asians were journalists, but it means that they were coloring the news story and spinning it in a way that made it more kind of entertaining or interesting. Instead of just here are the facts, boom, 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 they start editorializing, which made it more interesting to read. But at the same time, then you start inserting opinion, and then you start getting this kind of like left, right viewpoint, and suddenly you have a story that looks entirely different from one side or the other.
Right.
What's going on here?
Yeah. Oh, no, you're good. Okay. If you had to like, not to put you on the spot, but like if you had to like, if you had to peg yourself somewhere on the political spectrum, where would you say you land from being like far left, far right? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, I kind of know the answer because we both took those like political spectrum tests, and we were actually pretty close.
I know we were, which is good. We're not going to have too many disagreements over things, but enough to stimulate conversation between the two of us. So I know I definitely lean a little more left. especially with regards to social issues. Like I'm very pro-choice. I'm definitely pro, like normally I would have said LGBT like rights, but I think the movement's kind of gotten a little bit broader now. So just LGBTQ.
Yeah, it's a much bigger tent. Yeah.
Yeah, just being respectful of people's, how people feel and how people want to present themselves and identify themselves. I think that there's definitely a line that I draw. If we start identifying as solar, flares or constellations, like I'll see this every so often where I'm like, hang on. Like I still need you to define yourself as a human here. But
right.
If I'm very respectful of pronouns. I minored in LGBT studies in college, and part of that was because I grew up with such a conservative Catholic background. I had no exposure to this whatsoever. I was like, I want to educate myself so that I know how to be respectful and to be accepting. And not that I wasn't, but just understanding there's a difference between, being respectful and then communicating to another person that you are approaching them in a respectful manner. Like that's half of communication is here's what I'm intending for you to receive, but this is what you actually received.
Right, so, right. And kind of like bridging that gap.
And that's where the biggest breakdown in communication happens is you not receiving something the way I intended it. So
right. Like when, for instance, like if I did like an Asian accent.
Well, for me, I would find it funny because I can still laugh at myself and I still can appreciate like a stereotype, even if I can see the fact that it's a stereotype.
Right.
Like growing up, I grew up in a pretty white, affluent neighborhood. But I was definitely like the odd man out. Like I was one of the only Asian. Okay. I was the odd woman out.
Hashtag patriarchy.
Hashtag toxic masculinity. No, I definitely was. I think I was unique in the fact that I came from a multiracial household, and
right, you were more of an anomaly. In your neighborhood,
for sure. Oh, for sure. But I don't know. I still find Asian jokes funny in the right context, like if somebody who I know loves and cares about me will make them, great. I make them about myself. Like I make jokes all the time. Like, oh, I'm not like the best driver. Yeah. But that's like me choosing to poke fun at myself. If I think there's, I don't know. I think everyone has a threshold and a personal line, and I don't know. I think understanding that this is where my line is. And then, if you have someone in your life who, like, if I'm going to make like a joke about white men, I know that you can take it because we have that relationship and we have that rapport, and that it's just a joke. But I don't know if I would make it to somebody I have no context, no reference point for. I don't know if they're going to receive this the right way, if they're going to see it as a joke.
It's kind of like context and intent.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, at what point are you actually being hateful, or not even just hateful, like ignorant, like
insensitive.
Yeah. But also like I think when you're in a relationship with someone that you like genuinely care about, I think it's a conversation that you should have. Like, kind of where are my lines? What actually, like, is there a point where your significant other goes too far?
Yeah. And I think that's up to the people, like, that would be on me to say, hey, this is the line that you have crossed now. And you've never crossed that line. But if you ever did, and vice versa, I think that the two of us would be, okay, hey, like, that's kind of like maybe just shy away from that subject.
Never crossed that 35th parallel.
Don't cross that line,
So I've never crossed that DMZ.
I don't know.
I walked right up to it. I waved across the other side. Said, hey, Kim Jong-un. Nice haircut. Then I came back.
But no, to answer your question, it does not upset me when you do an Asian accent.
Okay. No, I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like I've met some people who are genuinely like offended by anyone who does any type of, like I wouldn't even call it an impression, but like just in passing, like an imitation of a race or a culture. But then I've met people who mock themselves more than anyone else. So I don't know. It's always just kind of a fascinating worldview, like how some people are ultra offended by certain things and not offended by other things.
I will say I'm not like an easily offended person.
Just as a general rule.
As a general rule.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's, I just kind of got like ended up with tough skin because of retail, and you get so many different characters when you work in retail. And when you work in retail, when you work in customer service, like you have to, like it is your job to hold that level of decorum for yourself. Like if somebody makes it, like I once had oh my God. I once had a customer.
Tell it all.
Once had a customer call me an Oriental. Which, honestly, here's the thing though. Like she had been a longtime customer. She was older. Yeah. And I know that she didn't intend for it to be offensive. Like it was probably the word she grew up using. Yeah. And it was one of those things that like, it caught me so off guard in the moment that I didn't say anything. And also it's part of my job to just, like, I'm here to sell you stuff.
Right.
So I'm here to keep a straight face and just laugh it off and move on. But I had enough of a rapport with her that if I had pulled her aside and been like, hey, like that word's kind of
just FYI.
Maybe just don't use that one. I think it would have been received well. And I knew that she didn't intend it that way. But, someone yells at me, look at that Oriental, like from a driving by in a car, especially a man, it's different. Like for me, like a woman saying something versus a man, and the relationship is very different. Then I would be so offended. I'd probably like chase after that car. Like, what's wrong with you? How dare you? Yeah, I'm not a fucking rug. Like, I think it just depends. I mean, Oriental, to me, the only appropriate use of the word Oriental I was like, rug. Is Oriental rug or the Orient Express.
I was like, is that like a slur? I don't know. Yeah. Is that like a deep track Asian slur? Your rug.
Your rug. I mean, it'd be kind of a clever way to throw in. Now that we've made
Let's don't give anyone any ideas.
But yeah, that's probably like the one word. I feel like nobody uses the word chink anymore.
Yeah,
that to me is laughable. Like someone says that, I'm like, who are you?
It's kind of like it's kind of a ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm insult, like that's not even offensive. It's hilarious.
It's like cracker or honky. You're like,
like you're using that word. Right. LOL. But again, like that's just, I know that I'm like that word is very like triggering and offensive to people. So I get that, but it's just for me, it's not there. Or for me, it's Oriental. Oriental is the one that like bing, 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 bing. Yeah.
Fireworks
not cool, not cool. Yeah.
That's also, it's kind of like what's fascinating about culture is that like we've, because of social media and like kind of like the collective voice of humanity that's like developed over the last, 10, 15 years because of the internet. It's like we've collectively decided certain words or things are, go, no go. Whereas like historically it was up to the person, just like you were explaining. It was like for you, X is okay, Y is okay. Here are my boundaries. Whereas like now we've all been more or less forced to like kind of conform to like one, superstructure of like, this is what is allowable according to, Twitter, for instance.
And even that varies a little too, because it depends on what kind of circle you're in, I feel like, as well. Oh, yeah, that was a nice one.
Why did you turn away? But also, wait, no.
I don't know if I like that we made that our thing.
Rock on.
Rock on with your drink on.
We didn't talk about that. Don't ever say that again.
Okay, speaking of like burping, like casually, what are your thoughts on farting in front of your sig-off?
So here's the thing.
Here's the deal, man.
if you are a person who knows you have a stinky butthole, if you know most of the time you fart, it smells bad. If you work out too much, if you eat too much protein, if you're a vegan, vegetarian, etc., your farts probably stink. And if that is the case, you should refrain. Refrain?
Yeah, refrain.
You know what I mean? Just purely out of respect for the other person's nostrils.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not opposed to the concept just on principle.
Yeah.
You're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Better out than in, as my grandmother always used to say.
Mm-hmm. Just your grandma. She coined the phrase.
She did. She made it up. It was hers. And then she farted it into existence.
No.
But no, I'm very much on team fart in front of your significant other.
Yeah.
However, I do draw the line at like going boo-boo, like with the door open.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, that's too far.
Too far. There
like
needs to be some magic alive still.
Yeah, but like burping, a little toot here and there.
Yeah.
Like what's the big deal? It's normal human reality, which I guess logically is the same argument you could use for going boo-boo, but listen, I'm not perfect.
We all have boundaries.
Exactly. We all have boundaries. Yep. And your Oriental is my boo-booing with the door open.
Well, that is also the case for me too. I'm not afraid to like pee in front of somebody. Now, I think that there needs to be a level of trust. Like when we first started dating, I would not fart in front of you. I wouldn't pee in front of you.
Yes.
I'd probably burp in front of you because burping is kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
But now like, yeah,
it's
it's just kind of like this
21 gun salute.
It's also
all hands on deck.
You know, we live together, so at some point the things that you would do in private in your own personal space, you now share a private personal space, and so it needs to be a safe place, you know, to fart.
Like masturbating in bed when you're already asleep.
Correct.
Let's talk about that.
Hey,
I have been known when Sleeping Beauty over here has already chewed her little melatonin up and hit the Z's. Sometimes I'm in the mood.
Yeah.
At night. And sometimes I pull up the old P hub on the phone, pop in the ear pod, wherever it went, and I give it the old wiki whack while you're asleep in bed next to me. Now my question is, have I ever woken you up? Go.
Maybe. No, you've never woke me up when I've been dead asleep. But I wonder every so often I'll kind of be starting to fall asleep and I'll feel, you know, you kind of moving the bed around.
The shmoo, shmoo, shmoo.
Yeah, like, but it honestly doesn't bother me. And I don't understand why that's so taboo.
Yeah. I think like, at least for me, like growing up in the South, like, you know, the Bible Belt, it's very like faux pas in like kind of the Christian circles.
Yeah.
Like just masturbation.
Well, masturbation
in general.
is a sin.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah. How dare you spread your seed upon the ground?
Yeah. Waste it.
So like I know like a lot of my friends and their wives have like very contentious relationships, like just based just on the fact that their, you know, husbands even masturbate at all.
That's so weird to me.
And to me that's so unhealthy if I'm being blunt.
Sorry. I mean, here's the thing. From a woman's perspective, I also agree because like I think it's weird when women, and we're using this term just like generally, you know, kind of a colloquially, yeah. And also just based on this kind of idea of like stereotype of, you know, woman being so offended by porn. And I don't think this is the case, but this whole idea that like once you're in a serious relationship, that the only kind of sexual
gratification. We playing Counter-Strike right now?
Yeah. I actually got that reference.
Yeah. Hashtag Aussies.
Gratification, sexual gratification, can come from your significant other. Like, I'm not like, obviously cheating and that is a whole different ball game, but porn is totally different. Porn and masturbating, to me, I think it's healthy. And I know for me, like masturbating actually like increases my sex drive.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't you want me to do that? And sometimes, I mean, it's rare that I think that I'm in the mood and you're not, but every so often, it happens if you're not feeling well or something.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself.
Yeah. To me, it just seems so bizarre that women make such a stink about like masturbating and porn and
just in general.
Yeah. And this is, of course, not the case with all couples, but kind of the common narrative, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous and outdated. So
yeah. I think you should touch yourself. Listen. If any gentlemen are listening at the whatever minute mark we are, touch yourself. And don't say sorry.
Just rub one out sometimes.
And then touch your wife or girlfriend or husband or boyfriend or plant.
Sigoth.
Or your dog.
Wait.
No,
what?
don't do that.
We're not Bert Kreischer here. The weird touch. Okay, Curtis makes fun of me because I'll do this weird touch. Like I'll go to touch him, but it's just the tops of my fingers like pushing into him. Yeah. And my hands kind of bent out at an angle for all of our listeners out there, listeners only. It's just this like gentle kind of beep. Like just it's like a pat, like not like I'm grabbing his wrist, not like I'm like touching his shoulder. Right. Like I'm just pressing the tops, like my top 3 knuckles,
like your finger
pads on him.
You're just pushing. It's like this weird consoling almost. Yeah. It's like if someone around you just lost someone in their family, and you like came up to them to like tell them like, I'm really sorry for your loss. It has that same tone, like where you're like, you kind of like touch and then sink into the person a little bit.
And I don't know where it started.
I think you're an energy vampire.
An energy vampire? I'm trying to steal your energy.
You're sucking my life force. See what I did there?
No idea. I don't know where.
Life force means come.
Hey, this is a family-friendly podcast.
Oh, sorry. Life force means come.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the weird touch.
What did it start? Like, how did that?
I don't even know how it started, but it kept happening, and then you started calling out, and now I do it on purpose, of course. Like now it's on purpose, I'm like, beep, just like the tips of my fingers, just gently, melancholy, just sucking the life out of you. Yes. But no, I don't know how it started. If I really think back, I think maybe, you know what? I don't know. Like I was thinking like, oh, did it start from me like not wanting to like touching you when I didn't want to bother you? But it happened enough. I don't know. I literally have no idea where it came from. Sorry, that's very anticlimactic.
Well, speaking of anticlimactic, touch yourself. When she's just not doing it for you.
Do it for yourself.
That actually reminds me, when I went and saw the doctor the other day, he taught me how to do a testicle exam.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, according to my doctor, if you believe in those. He said testicular cancer is a young man's disease,
which I did not know.
He said between like 25 and 35 is kind of like the high watermark window, the window for like young men to like get testicular cancer. It was even better because we probably had like a 2-minute conversation with my dick just like flopping in his face. Because we started the conversation as I was like getting up. He was like, okay, I'm going to do like a normal like physical exam now. But we were already like talking about other things, just like general life stuff. Because like it was an initial visit with a new doctor. So we're kind of getting to know each other. And so he's on his little rolly chair and I hop down off the thing. We're kind of just chit-chatting. He's like, all right, drop your pants. And like mid-conversation, pants come down. My dick is just like flopping in his face the entire time. And we're just like, he's like looking up at me like, anyways. And so if you look right here on your ball sack, like, moral of the story, touch yourself.
Make sure you don't have cancer.